Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of my F123 MyTeam series. This is episode 13 of our series. If you did miss the last episode around Qatar, Hamilton did take his 104th race win of his career. It was a 1-2 for Mercedes, and we had a late charge in the race despite our high tyre wear, which did get a little bit halted due to the late race safety car. So if you did miss it, please make sure to check it out as we now take a look at our performance graphics here. So we're still struggling a little bit. We're still at the back, and we're slowly trying to make our way back up to the AlphaTauri. But as you could see just quickly there at the front, it's very close between the top 5 teams. So this could be anyone's race, and I reckon we won't see too much more Red Bull dominance that we did see at the start of the season, as we're now getting ourselves prepared for our first and only practice session actually this weekend, as it is a sprint race weekend, as we now go straight into our race strategy program. This corner here is actually proving to be quite tricky for myself, as sitting in the cockpit view, the wheel arches actually block my view of the curb, so I'm kind of guessing when to turn in, as we do get the purple result in the end for our session. And this is us now getting prepared to do our fuel management system. And the car felt a bit sluggish, and there it is. We've had an engine failure actually here in practice, so we're gonna have to pull it in and try and see if we can't get anything changed to get ourselves back out there before the session's up, because this is going to be some crucial practice time in the end. And thankfully, due to the hard work from the team, we do get back out in this session to start working on our fuel usage, and it's going to only be a green result, but we're still not too far off the purple, so I reckon we can start taking a little bit of fuel out for when it comes to race time. As we can see there, it's a little hard for me to judge where that second to last corner is, with the wheel arch blocking the view, as I turned in just a slightly bit too early, and we're going to easily get a purple result here with only the one small mistake, which caused us to get green. But here is the results. So Carlos Sainz, Norris and Russell, they're all relatively close to each other. Ourselves, we ended up only having the pace to get into P21, and we're actually behind our teammate Iwasa. He was on the medium tyres, so we're 3/10 off of him on the slower compound tyre. So hopefully that deficit can be made up if we're on the same compound tyres, but we're now heading into qualifying, so this is usually where we shine against our teammates. So hopefully we can try and do better than the last race weekend and actually make it the Q2 this time. As Carlos Sainz actually sets the early pace of setting in a fastest lap time, we're actually going to get this corner right for once and keep it safely in the track limits as well to come to the end of our first flying lap. It's 2 green sectors, as it is only our first attempt at the track, and it's going to be a P4, so not too bad. We're ahead of the Williams and the Alfa Romeo, and we're actually not going to improve on that lap time. And also, forgot to mention, because we had to change some components because of that engine failure in practice, we have picked up a 5-place grid spot penalty for having to change some components as well. So we're going to sit P10 at the moment, so that will get us through to Q2. Our teammate, unfortunately, was unable to make it into Q2, so I am flying the flag solo now for Brabham in Q2, as we now come to the end of our first flying lap of Q2, and we're going to sit P5, which isn't too bad for the moment, but as we can see here very quickly, that has turned into a P10 as we now come into the end of our second flying lap. It's going to be very close to see whether we can get it into the green or not to try and improve on this lap time. It is going to be very, very close, but unfortunately it's not quite there, as we've now put on another fresh set of soft tyres. So that other previous flying lap that we just did, where we were very close to improving, that was actually on a set of scrub tyres. So this is now on a fresh set of tyres, our first time using fresh set this session, and you can tell they're fresh, as we're going to go nearly a full second quicker, and that's going to put us into P6. So I was a bit sketchy with that. I wasn't sure if P6 was going to be quite enough, but it is just enough. We make it through by 3/10 of a second, P9. Unfortunately, for Nico Hulkenberg, he's only just missing out there by the 3/10, because me and Fernando ended up being quite close. Charles Leclerc set a very quick lap time straight off the bat here, so he's going to be pretty tough to beat in the Q3, I reckon. Yes, we go very wide, but we're going to keep it pinned. We didn't get a warning for it. If we had received a warning, I would have backed off, but no warning was given, so play on, and if they delete the lap time, they delete the lap time. So that lap there will only put us P10 anyway, so it wasn't like we were gaining any positions from it, as we now actually set a purple sector on this second flying lap. So we've done very well on this lap so far to go also 1 second faster than our previous lap, and this lap will actually put us P5, and we will not be improving on that lap time, so we ended up finishing P7 in the end. So Leclerc, Hamilton and Russell, it will be a Ferrari pole position. As I said before, that Leclerc time seemed pretty good, so, and it was, as he's managed to maintain his P1 in the end, and Max Verstappen's down in P6, so he's in a title fight at the moment with Lewis Hamilton. So it will be interesting to see if he can make any spots up during this sprint race.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting sprint. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Russell, Sainz, Norris, Verstappen, the Rainmaster, Oscar Piastri, Perez, Fernando Alonso, Hulkenberg, Stroll, Bottas, Magnussen, Albon, Joe, Ocon, Gasly, Tsunoda, Iwasa, Sargent, and Nick de Vries. And with preparations almost complete, let's head trackside for today's sprint.
Alright, as it's a sprint race, there's really no need to think about the strategy. We're just going to chuck on the medium tyres and see how we go. We will take out a little bit of fuel though, just to try and make the car a bit lighter. I don't really need all this extra fuel as it is only a 10-lap race, so we're just going to take a little bit of it out. We're going to start on the formation lap now. It's going to be pretty important for us. These medium tyres, we can't afford to let them get up to temperature. It's not like we're going to be on the soft tyres where we can just pretty much instantly get grip even if they're slightly cold. These mediums need to be pretty well up to temperature. So we're pulling up to the grid spot now. They're all in the high 80s, which is pretty much about optimal. Once we get into race pace, they'll be a bit warmer as we actually mess up our grid slot. So we've only just gone forward a bit too much, so I really need to start working on that to make sure I'm not going too far forward and being reset too far back, as now the lights are about to go out, and they are out. We're racing in the sprint race here in Texas, and it's a pretty subpar start for us, but we're going to look to go around the outside. We've kept two wheels in on the track surface, so this is all going to be legal, and Russell kind of give us a little bit of a squeeze. We had a tiny little overlap on his front wing, so I had to back out from it, and actually Max Verstappen's going to be trying to go side by side with us, so we did get the jump on the Dutchman who's in this championship battle, so this is not going to be optimal for him, as it's actually a Ferrari 1-2, so Carlos Sainz is having a ripper of the start, because from memory, he was on the second row of the grid in P4, so he's in an absolute ripper start to get himself from P4 to P2, so it's currently a Ferrari 1-2, as we now head further along the lap, to find ourselves now defending from Max Verstappen, as he's pretty eager to try and get back by us, but now with the power of this slipstream on this first lap, we might just be able to make a dive on Russell. I know he's half a second out in front of us, but this car has been very good on its tyres and its braking so far. I've been, even in practice on ice, I was going very deep into the braking zones compared to all the AI. So we're going to jump forward now and make the move stick. A very clean move on George Russell. And we're now going to see if we can't chase down Lewis Hamilton. It's a sprint race, so no tyre wear is not going to be an issue here. Although I say that the soft tyres definitely would not have lasted, so mediums were the way to go. As it seems like George Russell's actually a little bit slow. Yeah, I was just thinking that George Russell's slow, and as Mark confirmed it there, George Russell on lap 3 has got a left rear puncture. So a very strange thing for that. So maybe you must have run over a little bit of debris or something. And now going on to the next lap, there's a yellow flag behind us, and that's Max Verstappen going slowly. So the championship leader's going slow, and he must have had a engine failure of some sort, because it's very strange for him to come to a stop on the back straight. And there it is, he's out of the session. So Max Verstappen, who was in a points-paying position, is now out of the race, and there it is. He's had an engine failure in the sprint race. So now, for tomorrow's Grand Prix, he will have to be starting from dead last. So this championship fight has just got so much easier for the likes of Lewis Hamilton, as we've actually had to let Lando Norris by. He's got so much pace in that McLaren at the moment, and we might be under attack soon from Oscar Piastri. And going forward, just a tiny little bit, We may still have DRS from Lando Norris, but the pace of these McLarens is absolutely ridiculous. And Oscar Piastri is just going to drive past us as if we're not even there. We're going to try and hang out around the outside, but in the end, he's just got way too much grip for us to handle. So we're going to have to settle for P6 as we get a bit of a tank slapper coming out of the corner. So now we have to try and put our focus now towards Sergio Perez, who's actually under attack from Fernando Alonso, and he's actually going to try and go for the double overtake on us, and he's made slight contact with our side pod. So hopefully we haven't picked up too much damage from that, and hopefully Alonso hasn't picked up too much front wing damage for that, because that it looked a bit light, but definitely from the cockpit of my car, it was not a light tap. That very well unsettled my car. As Fernando Alonso now gets back by us under the DRS, but we've gone in deep and we've nearly rear-ended of Fernando Alonso, which has allowed Sergio Perez to go through as well, and then we've nearly cut back across the front of Stroll's car, so we're going to, in desperation, try and get back by Perez because we want to try and keep these points-paying positions. And look at this for a battle now for these final 2 positions that will give us points. Remember, only the top 8 receives points in a sprint race. So this is going to be a battle for only 2 and 1 points in the end for where we're going to finish it. But for myself and Sergio Perez, this could mean everything because Sergio Perez is actually quite far down in the championship, considering he's in what's considered to be the fastest car this season. And as we saw there, Sergio Perez actually made a slight bit of contact with us. He slid a lot more than I was expecting at the apex of the corner. And even without DRS, we got so much straight line speed tucked up behind the Red Bull. And we're going to try and go around the outside. We're going to look for the cutback. But Stroll actually showed a nose in there, so that kind of freaked me out a little bit. So I've got kind of got a little bit eager on the throttle and braking, so trying a little bit of wheel spin. Now this is Stroll. He's trying to get back by us, but it's now the final lap. So hopefully we can defend this and just try and get this one measly point. And in the end, it's going to be Charles Leclerc. He's going to come across the line and he's going to take the win in the sprint race. And back to us now. We've got Stroll right behind us. Is he going to send a dive bomb? No, he isn't. So we should be able to keep this final points-paying position in the sprint race. It was very hard fought for. We ended up finishing further back than when we started, but in the end, still points. So that's really all we can hope for. And we tried to minimise the damage because remember, we have to start 5 places back now for tomorrow's Grand Prix because the penalty doesn't get applied until the main Grand Prix for changing those components. And now just having a quick look at the podium, as Leclerc from Sainz was a Ferrari 1-2, then Lewis Hamilton on the podium as well. So both Leclerc and Hamilton, I reckon they were pretty close in the championship from memory. So definitely Hamilton, he's taking full advantage of Max Verstappen not scoring any points, and he's going to be wanting to make sure he can do well in tomorrow's Grand Prix.
Formula One is now so beloved in the United States that we race here 3 times a year. But let's give respect to COTA, or the Circuit of the Americas, to give it its full name. This place laid the foundations for this moment and still remains the host of the US Grand Prix. We're racing today then in Travis County, Texas, where 20 corners and speeds of up to 200 miles per hour await us on this magnificent racetrack. It's 60% full throttle with plenty of good opportunities to pass, especially through the 2 DRS zones into turn 1 and the long back straight into turn 12. What a race we have in store today. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole. And the smooth operator Carlos Sainz completes the front row. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Norris, Oscar Piastri, Fernando Alonso, Perez, Hülkenberg, Magnussen, Joe, Albon, the Rainmaster, Bottas, Gasly, Russell, De Vries, Iwasa, Stroll, Sargent, Tsunoda, Ocon, and Max Verstappen completes the grid. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race. And joining me again for the race today, Natalie Pinkham. Let's talk about the Rainmaster. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within the team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do. And that has definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
Alright, so once that penalty has been applied, we are now starting P12. So those medium tyres absolutely felt shocking. So I definitely do not want to go for a longer stint on those mediums. So we're going to go for the alternate strategy actually, and we're going to go for a shorter stint on the mediums. I'm not sure if I'll go to the full length of the lap 13 because by the looks of this, these hard tyres should have plenty of life. But by the end of the race, I'm going to drop a bit of fuel too, as our fuel saving's been pretty good this race. So I reckon we can shorten that stint on the medium tyre and try and go longer on the hard tyre, because this car does love the hard tyre. We tend to find that is definitely the better race tyre. So, well, all along this season so far. So the more time we can spend on that tyre, it's going to be the better for us in the end. So, same thing as the sprint race, we're going to have to make sure these tyres are well and truly into their tyre window. Because, as I mentioned before, if we were to start on the soft tyres, they could be a little bit colder and we'll still get a good amount of grip from them. And this time I'm going to very well make sure I'm not going to mess this one up. I'm actually going to park a little bit more safely with 0.3 of a metre to the left in the grid box before we cross the white line. But it's going to be crucial for us to now get a good start here as the lights start to come on and they're out. It's time to go, and we actually get a better start than last time. Still a not great start. Zhou Guanyu seems to be a little bit slow off the line. We're going to do a big cutback and try and go across to the outside once more and make a big dive around the outside. And we're actually going to make slight contact, as I reckon it was there, probably for a small moment, 4 wide. And we've taken, as Mark's just mentioned, we've taken some underbody damage thanks to that. So is our pace now going to be affected for the rest of the Grand Prix, as we find ourselves now back in P8? So we're essentially where we should have started if we didn't have to take those component change penalties, as we now take a look further along the lap, and the two Ferraris are now battling. So is this really what Ferrari need to be doing? This is Carlos Sainz trying to make the move on his teammate Charles Leclerc to take the lead of the race. Charles Leclerc, remember, started on pole position. He got pole, won the sprint, and started P1 today. So he's going to be trying to maintain this lead from his teammate, but Carlos Sainz wants to take that lead back from his teammate. And coming on to the end of lap 1, going on to lap 2 now, we're under attack from Piastri, and he's on the soft tyre. So not only is that McLaren just super fast this weekend, he's on the soft tyre as well. So he's going to be essentially unstoppable. So hopefully we can just try and stay along with him and see if we can't try and catch up to the rest of these guys ahead on the soft tyre once their tyres start to fade and ours start to come into more of a window, the crossover point. As we now do a order check now, it's going on to lap 4. So the field's settled down a little bit. It's a Ferrari 1-2, Leclerc from Sainz. Lando Norris is actually P3, so he's managed to get by Lewis Hamilton, who started 3rd. So it's Hamilton 4th, Alonso, Perez, Hulkenberg, Piastri, ourselves in P9, and then Alex Albon doing wicked in the Williams in P10 at the moment. That's going to get him 1 point if he can manage to finish there. Zhou, Magnussen, George Russell would be disappointed, but do remember, he got that puncture in the sprint race, so he essentially finished last in the sprint race, so he's doing well at the moment to be P13. Bottas, our teammate Iwasa, is in 15th. Ocon, De Vries, Sargent, he's P18 considering it's home race. So I'm sure he would have loved to be trying to get some points in this home race for him. Max Verstappen hasn't made too much ground actually. He's kind of stuck in this train behind Nick De Vries, so he hasn't made up too much progress. So he's still P19, which is not going to be great news for the Red Bull camp. Pierre Gasly, Stroll, and then Tsunoda's rounding out the final position on the field at the moment, as we've now got DRS on Oscar Piastri. We're going to be looking to go around the outside. We're going to go really deep on the brakes. We're going to pinch him a tiny little bit on the apex of the corner. Hopefully get the better traction, even though he's on the soft tyres. But we've now got the inside line for turn 13 and turn 14. So, job done. We're now in front of Piastri. So now we can try and see if we can't catch up to Nico Hulkenberg.
There's a new strategy available on the MFD.
And just as I was about to say, Nico Hulkenberg's pulling away from us. Mark's told us that we should box a whole 1 lap early, because I reckon our medium tyres must be wearing off that tiny little bit more than we were expecting. As now safety cars are being deployed, and so luckily we weren't at the pit entry just yet, so we've managed to dive in just in time to take advantage of this safety car and try and see if we can't make up any position. So take a note, we're P8 coming into the pit lane, and every single car behind us has taken this advantage as well to come into the pits before the Delta comes on, including our teammate. So we might be double stacking, but as I look behind me, he's nowhere in sight yet, so hopefully there won't be any delay for our teammate in the pit lane. We'll come out of the pits, still in P8, as it looks like Stroll was the only person from behind us to not pit, and this is why the safety car's out. I reckon that's Zhou that's gone for a bit of a spin, and he's been stationary for long enough for the stewards to decide to pull out the safety car. And as now, while the field has been neutralised, we're going to be doing a order check. So it's Leclerc still leading ahead of Lando Norris and Perez, and Sainz has actually been dropped down to P4 through that pit stop phase. Alonso, Hulkenberg, ourselves didn't make up 1 position to P7. Piastri, Russell now finds himself in the points at P9, Magnussen 10th. Magnussen was no, sorry, it was Hulkenberg who was ahead of us. Sorry, thinking of the wrong drivers. Albon, Bottas, Ocon, Iwasa, De Vries. Verstappen's up to P16 now. Gasly, Stroll, Zhou, Tsunoda, Sargent, and Lewis Hamilton had an absolute shocking pit stop phase, and he is dropped from 3rd position to last. So Lewis Hamilton, another one of the title contenders, is having an absolute shocker of a race so far. As now we go onto the safety car restart, we've had a mare of a safety car restart. We dropped half a second instantly to Nico Hulkenberg. As now we take a look into the front of Charles Leclerc. He's driving away from Lando Norris. So this is Charles Leclerc's race to lose at the moment, as we're reaching half race distance, and we're now making the move on Nico Hulkenberg. It's going to be a copycat move to what we did to Oscar Piastri around the outside. And looking ahead, that's Sergio Perez. He's battling Carlos Sainz at the moment, so hopefully this can slow down the likes of Fernando Alonso as well, to the point that we can try and capitalize and make up a few positions, because this could very well become the battle for the final podium spot. So could we possibly get a podium from P12 on the grid this race weekend? Perez and Sainz are still going side by side, and Fernando Alonso just can't find a way to get by him, either of them. So he's being held up massively. And this now makes 8 corners that these two have been side by side. Now they now go down the main straight side by side. Carlos Sainz, he does not have DRS. Sergio Perez does. Fernando Alonso is going to try and go around the outside of the lot. They go 3 wide into turn 1, and they're all taking really awkward lines, so this could really help us try and catch up as we now jump back on board with our POV. And look at that, we're now right behind Fernando Alonso, and they're still going side by side actually. Well, Perez was looking to go side by side with Carlos Sainz, and that actually caught us off guard, and with how much Fernando Alonso backed off, and we ended up going all 4 wheels off, so we backed off massively just to make sure that we weren't being looked at by the stewards. So now we're going to have to try looking at defending from Nico Hulkenberg as well, as Fernando Alonso has just put out a little bit more of a gap now, but it's very slow through turn 11. So we're now got DRS. He's got DRS, but he's pretty much lost slipstream effect from Sergio Perez. So now we're going to pull alongside, and it looks like we've got just a little bit more straight line speed. So now we're going to make the move on Fernando Alonso for P5 in this race. And we give him a little bit of a squeeze on the exit just to make sure he's not going to take a nose back down the inside. But Sergio Perez and Carlos Sainz, they are driving away. So this might just be the battle for our final positions. This is a battle for P5 in the end between myself and Fernando Alonso. And look at this, Nico Hulkenberg, he's still in this as well. He's keeping up with us too. So Nico Hulkenberg could be very all on for a P5 if something happens between myself and Fernando Alonso. And while we were battling, this is George Russell making up more positions going through the field, and this is him getting past Oscar Piastri. So Oscar Piastri must be struggling with a bit of tyre wear, as now we're looking at Max Verstappen to check his progress. He's currently in P12, so he hasn't made the points yet, but he's slowing down. What's going on here? Oh, that car does not sound healthy at all, and he's pulling off to the side. It must be another engine issue for Max Verstappen, so that's going to be a double DNF for Max Verstappen this sprint race weekend. It's now Lewis Hamilton, his title rival. He's making a move on Esteban Ocon for P9, so it's only going to be 2 points, but these are 2 points closer to Max Verstappen that he's going to get again. But Ocon, he's not going to let Hamilton have this one easy. Remember, these two both in the Mercedes Academy, but it is Hamilton that's going to prevail in this incident and get P9 from Ocon. So now back to us. We've skipped to the last lap of the race actually. Nothing's really happened. We've just been stuck in Fernando Alonso's DRS train. This entire, well, not DRS train, it's just me in it, but we've just been stuck. We haven't been able to get by him, and come the last lap of the race, we've put in a good middle sector to get ourselves close enough to Fernando going back on the back straight, and we've managed to make the overtake for P5 in the end on the last lap. So Fernando Alonso will be kicking himself that he didn't defend hard enough to protect that P5 position. As Charles Leclerc, he comes over the line. He takes the win from Lando Norris, so it was a pretty close finish in the end, less than a second, didn't it? Carlos Sainz will take the final podium position from Sergio Perez, and we'll take P5, thank you very much.
And that's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
They take the checkered flag then here in Austin in what has been another fabulous Grand Prix. Now Natalie Pinkham, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
I feel consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
Here come our winners now, a thrilling race and a tremendous effort by Ferrari. Their history is well known, so it's no surprise to fans the world over to see them come out on top once again.
And here are the race results now. So the podium was indeed Leclerc, Norris and Sainz, as we saw before. Sergio Perez, myself, Alonso. George Russell did a very good job to come from P15 to P7 in the end. Albon getting points for Williams. Lewis Hamilton, he edges slightly closer to Max Verstappen in the championship. But it is Charles Leclerc who takes P2 away from Lewis Hamilton this weekend with those 2 race wins in the end. And it's very close between Leclerc and Hamilton, but crucially it's 54 points to Max Verstappen. So Max Verstappen still has a 2-race buffer if he continues to have these engine dramas. As we go to the constructors, it's very tight at the top. 53 points separating the top 3 and ourselves. We find ourselves a little bit of no man's land. We're 20 points behind McLaren and 30 points ahead of Alpine as we now head back to the HQ. And just like last week, due to those regulations coming in, I want to try and be banking up as many R&D points as I can to make sure we can try and keep them all, and make sure we still got a pretty strong car for next season, and then still got plenty of points to immediately start the R&D process. So that will be all for this episode. If you did enjoy it, please make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next episode around Brazil. See ya.